There's a story we like to believe about resource development, that even if a mine damages the land, it will still pay royalties and taxes that benefit the public, add value before export, provide steady long-term jobs, and even cover the costs of its own cleanup. But selenium changes that story. Once it escapes into rivers, there is no real cleanup. The only option is prevention. Costly technology operated not just for as long as the mine runs, but decades beyond its closure. And prevention only happens if the economics are strong enough to carry it. On Grassy Mountain, it is unlikely that the coal seam's quality and economic value are adequate to carry through on prevention at source, so the mine begins as a promise it cannot keep. At best, this mine could operate as a swing mine, operating only when international steel markets surge. That instability means no steady jobs, no stable revenue, and no way to finance perpetual selenium prevention. At the Fort Macleod town hall, Cornelis Kolijn spelled this out. Based on decades of knowledge of the region's coal seams, he warned that Northback Holdings and others could never pay for the promises they made. And that's why his words to the politicians stopped the room cold.
For Tech Resources for 18 years, recently retired. I've got 40 years of experience, international coal mining, coke, iron making and steel making. So I was part of Tech's team to assess coal deposits throughout the world. So a bit of context. The first one was Mozambique. Baghdad Riversdale were there. They sold it for $4 billion to Rio Tinto. It was not the value by far, it was basically fraud. They sold it to the Steel Authority of India for $50 million within 2 years. Now they moved to Alberta, yeah? And they started this Grassy Mountain project. More context, the Japanese had big coal mining interests there up until the late 70s. They moved out because the coal quality was inadequate for the modern iron making industry, and they had better, higher quality in the Elk Valley. That's what happened. So they shut them all down because the coal, and Japanese are polite, but they called it shit coal. So now...
Sorry, your question, sir?
So the question now is, I was key expert witness in October 2020 for the AER here in Grassy, and I proved the coal quality is inadequate, is far below the Elk Valley. Already to start with, and after the first 2 years, it collapsed. So there will be no money for remediation. It will be swing mine. There won't be value-added, long-lasting jobs. And Gina just wants her $700 million back. She unwisely invested to spin it off to other investors, or better, sue the government, which they're compromising.
Yeah, and your AER cannot model resources. Her AER cannot model resources.
Explain a little bit more about why it is you would say that the quality is so different between here and the mines on the other side. What is it? What is the factor that you look at?
Yes, it's on the other side of the range. So the coal quality there is, there's fault systems. It's just an inferior quality compared to the Elk Valley. That's why coal mining moved to Elk Valley as soon as they also got the techniques to mine in the higher Elk Valley regions. That's why the coal is significantly less in quality. If you look at the coke making properties, the chemistry, the carbon forms, the petrography, it doesn't make good, strong coke the way the Elk Valley will make it, so the economic value is significantly less.
Could this be why, though, the company has narrowed the seam that they're looking at? They're looking at only going after the highest value coal. Could that be part of the reason? Is there a chance that there would be, I don't know enough about the uniformity of the deposit, is there a chance that a smaller project would have the same quality?
So they have one coal seam which is of slightly better quality. It's still quite a bit below the Elk Valley, and also it's less, about 80 or 75% was in the valley. Yeah, but it's only seam 1. So what's left of seam 1 will be gone after the first 2 years. And that's what they misrepresented in the presentation at the AER hearing. So the coal quality will collapse after the initial 2 years.
Next question,
That's the
they're
issue.
wasting time on you, man.
Premier,
I know
if
what
it's
you're
okay
doing.
with you,
There's no economic viability.
They're not interested.
Premier, if it's okay with you, I'd like to set up a meeting with this individual. We'll collect a card and then we can possibly set up for more information from him as well. So yeah, if everyone's okay with that. Thank you, sir, for that. I think I have some staff at the back that we can also connect with too, so thank you. I'll ask for the next person in line for their question. Sir, your name and your question.
I should turn off here.
It's so
One means to go back to one of the early.
After that, I remember going out and celebrating because all of us in that room who were against coal thought, wow, something has broken through the armor of we're going to roll forward with coal. So we really want to know what happened next. Would you inform us?
Yeah, sure. So in the town hall, when my turn came, I just made some comments that this was a second-rate coal, tier 2 coal at best, and that's why the Japanese shut down the mines after mining coal there, especially the Japanese for their steel mills 60s, 70s, because the coal quality was inadequate and the reserves were running out. And that's because the blast furnace process evolved, became ever more efficient, and needed ever higher quality raw materials, iron ore and coal, this coke. So what happened then is that there was a silence, their jaws dropped to the table, like Schultz was there and Brian Jean, and of course Miss Smith herself. Then she said, well, they had to admit the coal was of lower value, and I said, yes. So that's why these mines shut down, and they started in the Elk Valley. Then Miss Smith said, take Brian Jean's business card and give him a call. So I went up front, got Brian Jean's business card. I think it was a day later, I called him and he was just getting into his car and I got the whole 5 minutes. I reiterated my concerns and Brian Jean said, well, but he's listening to his experts. I asked, well, which experts? I didn't get a clear answer, but you bet it's people of the coal mines themselves. They give a lot of misinformation. So a bit of to and fro, and then Brian Jean asked, but why are you so against coal and coke? Because you made your living out of it. Yes, but this is just not viable. You're being played. Said, yeah, but law has to take its due course. Let's see what we can do through the law, and if it's warranted that it's not economical, well, probably we can stop them. So, but if you want to have any comments, as appropriate, I could contact you, but you can also send me some SMSs. And that's where actually the discussion ended. I did wish him success, but I didn't think he caught the irony of that comment.
This is very anticlimactic for a response. What is your feeling?
Yeah, I think it is. The reality is the UCP has compromised itself so much with flip-flopping policies. They've settled with Atrum, used to be Grassy North in the past. They already in 2020 said, you know, we haven't proven yet a viable coal ore body and we need more exploration. They never did it. These developments are a godsend for them because now they can get money out of this, and also they delisted already Atrium in March, and now they're getting $142.5 million out of it. Of only $6 million will be for remediation. Who knows if that will be proper, and the rest will go to the shareholders and the executive. So mission has been accomplished. Also, they had this statement that it was certainly not viable economically and technically because the coal seams are thin and the geology is complex. And we know that if we compare this area where Sparwood, the coal formation is only 1/6 of the thickness, the coal seams are thinner, the coal quality is highly irregular, so it's a no-go. Just Ms. Reinhardt wants her money back and if possible more. That's why she does another exploration program and she'll maybe cherry pick the results, and the Alberta Geological Survey, Hydrological Survey have been sized down so much that we don't have the knowledge in government and the resources to defend ourselves against this, so they will just blackmail us.
What I understand is that Grassy Mountain is drilling in an expanded area. It's being able to get subsurface leases outside of the historical lease area that would have been Category 4 land. Do you feel that with its expanded rights to drill, it's actually changing much about the scenario you describe of thin seams and unlikely economic prospects?
Well, of course, we won't get to see all these drill holes. So, and I don't know what will come out of it. I don't expect much out of it. But it's just if they use it handily, they can just ramp up the value of that coal and just increase their claims or spin it off to a hapless, what they call sophisticated investor. And that's what they're heading for. I think the best scenario is that they will not mine a lump of coal. I know after the first 2 years, the coal quality will crater and its value. And there won't be enough funds, highly unlikely, to remediate it. Now, they probably have the exception they can go above ground. It's very expensive. From the day one you start to develop the mine, you really have to contain the tailings and that high selenium rock. Mostly that's on either side of the coal seam, and you have to isolate it and seal it off. It's so expensive, and in their mine plan they said, well, the coal quality is set to decline as what they presented at the AER in October, November 2020. The coal quality will be severely degraded after the first 9 years of mine life. So then really be serious about cleaning up year 18 to 23. It's not a credible scenario to me. So no, I think this is likely to be a swing mine with the way also the coal price is developing and technology. Because once the mine starts to operate, say a 20, 25-year mine life, and will start to operate in 2 years' time, then it will live until the year 2050, where there will be a significant reduction in metallurgical coal demand because of changing technologies and more use of scrap in more and more mature economies. And there will be a severe competition on the coking coal market for coking coal of highest quality, which clearly they will not have. So I think that's the scenario we have to look at.
I think I'm getting a little confused here because you've mentioned a life until 2050. If it doesn't have good coal reserves, and I'm talking about Grassy, do you think it can go until 2050?
No, no. You see, the price was projected to be like around $200. Well, it went to $175 just end of June. These projections are overly optimistic. And what I also see, I'm also involved with new technology, not using coal to make virgin hot metal. You see an acceleration in the technology. First smaller commercial plants are being built. It will really, notwithstanding what's happening now with Trump, it will accelerate this development. Only a third of the blast furnace capacity will be needed in 2050. 2/3 will be needed. I think it will be much less, and then the demand will be for the highest quality coal to have an as efficient as possible blast furnace process using as little energy as possible and fluxes and other materials. So there's no reason to have a second-rate coal mine, especially because also second-rate coal, you can get that, say, 2/3 or half the distance from the main market, which will be India, because already the market in Europe, especially Western Europe, is imploding, and India is the only significant growth market. In China, it's also the metallurgical coal market steeply declining because they're more mature, they use more scrap, and they're also investing in alternate technology for their air quality, just like now India. Now also they said no, it's unacceptable pollution of our water and our atmosphere, and the Minister of Industry just 2 weeks ago said we're also going to invest in alternate technology, and I know for a fact now that Tata and GSW, two huge Indian integrated coal makers, are investing in this new technology and will build plants. And even now the state industry in India, who is quite far behind, is also going to invest in it. So guys, the game is over.
You think that Grassy Mountain, even with the expanded exploration, is going to be producing second-rate coal?
Yeah, I think it will be tier 2 at best, but you have to know the results, and I don't know if they're going to be forthcoming with results, like all the databases had in the past, also from previous owners from the Grassy lease. So yeah, it's hard to say at this stage, but I don't expect it. And also, like Miss Smith said, that underground solution, it's not the solution. When you mine, you have to pump the water out to keep the mine works dry, the water table will go down, but you also have subsidence, that is, the surface area will go down because you take the coal out. They say we do rumor pillars, it won't collapse. Believe me, it will collapse over time, and then it will impact the drainage patterns above ground. And there's some mines like Vista going all the way up to the North Athabasca River. And I know from working in Germany that there's rivers there, and they need to be dammed with, on either side, huge dikes, otherwise they will flood the land now, and the land is to pump water into the river and forever. And they also had mined waste rock from underground, from development especially, and tailings. And there were big piles when I worked there. That was early 80s, say late 70s, on either side of the Autobahn, the highway, in the Ruhr area. And now they're all gone. But that was taxpayers' money to clean it up. And also they had to backfill some waste rock and tailings, but it's enormously expensive. And again, that could only be financed with taxpayer money. So a mine producing second-rate coal, or a smaller coal mine, will not have the funds, even if it goes underground, to mitigate the impact and mitigate the selenium.
Given your international experience, the pattern that I am seeing here is that there's always a lot of polluter will pay before the development is begun, and that it almost seems like an open secret that it is public money that will pay once the mine is in its closing years, and even before then. Am I overstating that pattern, or do you think that's fair?
Well, it's highly likely. It's already happening. It's already happening with this fantastic deal with Atrum. And Montem will start, because Montem had a couple of violations and last year, earlier this year. And, you know, and I think also Atrum. So now the taxpayer is already starting to pay for it. It's already happening right now, like with the abandoned wells. So, no, I'm not overly optimistic. I think it's likely this will happen.
So my last thing is, I'm not going to put this on you. This is my own investigation. I wanted to know whether the Alberta Energy Regulator was capable of modeling potential coal resources when it got drill cores. And I was told it did not do that. I was told that it stored the drill cores, that it checked the paperwork more or less on the drill cores, but no confirmation that they did any independent modeling of drill cores. So that makes it sound very likely to me that a company could overstate how rich a coal mine was going to be. Do you think that I'm alarmist in saying that?
No, you're not. I know that the AR does not have the capability to do that. I know that also the hydrological geological survey are dressed down. So I think you can, as a civil servant, ask a mine, give me a list of information, drill hole data, biological data, eco data, and then just tick the box. Like, you know, you go through the passport control, tick, 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 tick. And there's no assessment after that. Meaningful assessment possible, because the UCP also said, and many governments, but industry has the knowledge. Okay, but you also need to be in the know yourself, otherwise you'll be played. And at this moment, we are played, that's certain. So I don't have any high expectations that Northbeck will be really honest. Like you also see their nice promo clips, YouTube, on their website, a lot of disinformation there, a lot of feel-good talk. And also when it's explained by the CEO, me being in industry for 40 years, for mining and metallurgy, I just get crampy toes. It's astounding.
I'm just going to say thank you very much for the interview.